Hey guys, Ashley here with, well, the next chapter of Nights, Dreams Are Reality. And, well, let's just say in the last chapter, we basically got the, introduction to pretty much the four main kids from the first two games, Nights into Dreams and Journey into Dreams, which were Elliot and Clarice, and Will and Helen. And of course, they pretty much found Starlight, or at least Will and Helen did, and they took her to Owl's place where he's going to be looking after her. And, well, Starlight is in good hands, which is what I'm trying to say. Makes you wonder what's going to happen in this one. Well, let's find out. Note, there will be feels in this. Anyways, morning came quickly as the skies turned dark to crimson gold. Is that how you call a dawn? I guess. The forest slowly started to awaken with life and laughter as the sun shined in its brilliance all over all of Memory Forest. Owl was just thankful that nothing happened last night, but he still worried for the well-being of the nightmare and the visitors, now called Starlight. He believed that he had gained enough information to give her some explanation to what had happened to her and a few other things along the way. When he had finished cleaning up his work area and placed his books back, he decided to check upon Starlight. He flew up to the second floor of his home, to the guest rooms. When he entered, she was not there. Owl's feathers ruffled as he frantically looked high and low for her, fearing the... Danny, you kind of threw me off there a bit. For him fearing the worst. No, wait, it is spelled right. Never mind. Just kind of threw me off a bit. The old bird looked throughout the other rooms of the house, trying to find Starlight with no luck. There was one room he hadn't checked yet, and that was the library. Owl made haste to the entrance of the library and started to search for her. He was relieved to find Starlight was there reading a few books on the floor. Guess there are no chairs in there, I guess. Whew! There you are, visitor. Wait, there you are, child. You nearly gave me a heart attack. What? Unlike in Journey to Dreams, like, goodness me, you gave me quite a fright. You must know better than to frighten this visitor. At least that's how he said it in Journey to Dreams. The child looked up at the old bird, who was trying to regain his breath. My apologies. I didn't mean to stop. It didn't matter. You seemed busy, and I didn't wish to disturb you. At least there's only two characters talking, so I do not have to tell who is who. Because the last chapter kind of confused me. Owl perched himself on one of the shelves. How long have you been up, child? The old bird asked as Starlight closed the book in her hands. A while, perhaps. It was still dark when I woke up, and then that blinding light started to show up, so I moved to a darker area. This is all new to her, so she's never experienced sunlight before. The library seemed to suit those academics. Hang on a sec, eh? Academians. Sorry, it's just that, well... Ugh. First, the characters are speaking words I really don't get. So, yeah. And now Danny. So, thanks for having to let me look up this for a bit. And I felt like trying to start looking for some answers to my questions, so I went here. Shouldn't I say came here? Okay. I wanted to tell you, but like I said, you appeared preoccupied by something. The owl then landed upon the floor and walked up to the young Marin upon the floor. Owl must be very short, actually. Because, you know, in the games, he is an owl, therefore he would actually be rather small. So, yeah. That blinding light you saw, that blinding light you saw is something we call the sun. It's our way of seeing through the day till the night falls. It is also the source of life for many flora and fauna who inhabited these worlds, since most creatures here tend to work and play for the duration of the day. And I guess since you haven't seen the sun before, your eyes haven't adjusted to seeing such vivid colors. Vibrant, my bad. Owl stated as he went over to the curious child and the books. I thought he was already over there. She was reading. He'd never seen a Marin with such a thirst for knowledge. Huh, sounds like Edward Elric and Alphonse. So I guess that makes Owl a slight bit of, I don't know, Chow Tucker? Or Twilight? No, not Chow Tucker, because we all know he's not doing any experiments. Sorry if I made that image in that head, guys. There were 8 or 9 books near her. Dang, she really is a bookworm. About the countless realms of NiGHTS, along with its history and records. Well, then again, there was a library which she goes to and learns this stuff. You read all of these, child? He asked with a shocked expression. Yes, is that a bad thing? Of course not, child. I just never seen a nightmare who has such a craving for knowledge as you. You know, I think Fregetta would definitely approve of that. Starlight was a bit confused with his answer. He had met another nightmare before. Who is this nightmare you speak of, Owl? Starlight asked. Owl didn't know how to respond. One would think that every Marin who had worked for Wiseman would know of her. Owl sighed and explained. NiGHTS. She was the first level nightmare who left Wiseman to find herself here amongst Nightopia. NiGHTS has defended this world for many years, but she had disappeared, and not many have seen her since. I truly hope she is all right. She is all right. Starlight assumed he was talking about the traitor of Nightmare. Riel had never mentioned a name to her. No one had. The two sounded too alike to be a coincidence. She shot up in excitement. There is another Marin like me? Here? Now, child. There is no need to rush into those sort of matters. Owl said as he took flight. Let's head to the dining hall and get you something to eat, and possibly answer more of your questions. Okay, one thing I do like about Owl in this is that he's actually being a comforting character. Because, well, in the games, people honestly, and, you know, he's meant to be a helpful character, even though clearly he's just being the tutorials and trying to teach you things. But honestly, I do like this proportion of Owl. It gives him more character to actually show, rather than just being, well, the tutorial guy. I must teach you learning how to fly, and how to create parallels, and I'd be like, Owl, we get it. This is like the billionth time you said that. It's not like anyone's going to forget how to do that. How do we do it again? Oh, bloody hell. Sucks to be you, then. Oh, shut up, Riala. I'm sorry, but I couldn't help do that. Starlight agreed with him as she got and followed Owl to the dining hall. But she still kept that nightmare question in the back of her mind. It took her some time to get used to the lighting and her surroundings, but she felt more comfortable here than she did back at Nightmare. Starlight takes a look inside the dining area while Owl prepared something for the two of them. During this time, Starlight asked him whatever questions she had on her mind or remembered. Owl did get a little frustrated with her plethora of questions. Plethora? But he did enjoy her curious nature. How many realms are in NiGHTS? Endless, child. So, if there is an endless amount of realms in NiGHTS, how can you keep recording them so quickly? Because that's what those books are made to do. Then why does a nightmare have such advanced magic? We always had to do scout and map them out. Ouch! Ugh. Well, I don't live in Nightmare. Good, because if you were, you'd probably be a Goodlebird or something. So I don't know about those types of things. Why can't Nighttopians fight back against nightmares? Because they were made to be peaceful. Do they speak English? Or do they speak in that gibberish all the time? Some do and some don't. Now please, child, sit down and let me finish making breakfast. Starlight giggled, knowing she might have gone a bit too far. Okay. We do see more of Starlight's more cheerful personality. Well, okay, her personality's starting to shine a bit more. And no, that's not a pun because of her name. She answered with a smile as she headed back to the table. Owl couldn't help but feel like there was something within her that was familiar. What is it, Knights? He could not shake the feeling away. It is hard for him to forget a face along with one's smile and laugh. After a while, Owl had prepared some oatmeal with fresh fruits and orange juice. Part of complete breakfast. Just hope there's no Tony the Tiger, otherwise we get a great succeed. He set them down upon the table and took a seat. Go ahead and eat, child. You'll need your energy. Starlight didn't exactly know what was said in front of her. Owl, what is this? And what do you mean I need all the energy? He simply answered, it's called oatmeal. I added some fruit to it to put some more flavor in the mixture. Starlight had never heard of this stuff before and started to poke at it. Owl tried to refrain from laughing at her childish behavior. If you would like to see NiGHTS, I recommend you eat now. Starlight's eyes widened as she grabbed the spoon in front of her and started devouring the bowl of oatmeal. Hey, that's kind of like how I am. If I want to get something out of the way, I'm probably just going to do it quickly. Well, that includes eating. The old bird simply took his time as he read a few pages of his research. What, it's not a morning paper or something? I guess this could be that. When the two had finished, they got ready to head outside. Starlight was practically bouncing off the walls since she was so excited to go. Owl could hear her pacing across the floor as he cleaned the last of the dishes. You know, you could have asked her to help. The two left a half hour later to the Sky concert. Oh, wow, Danny. Just wow. You just had to include my least favorite mission in the game. Thank you. The young nightmare awed at the sight of the grand forest. She had never seen such lush green fields or trees the size of buildings. Look at all this, Owl! It is so amazing! Wow! The sound effect. Starlight said, running around to each thing that caught her eye. Owl watched the Marin zigzag through the forest. This wasn't the first time he had to control a curious and excited nightmare. Owl could only smile at her wonder as she started to write down and draw the things she saw in a small journal. I guess he gave her a journal? I've never seen anything like this before, Owl. I mean, I've seen illustrations or something like that, but never the actual thing. See the blue sky over my head, feel the soft blades of grass, or feel the sun's rays on my skin. Oh, it is all so beautiful, Owl. Indeed it is, child. Owl said as the two arrived at the Sky concert. Starlight took a long look at the sanctuary and groups of Nightopians playing music down below. Owl, what is this place? It is the Sky concert, a place to play music, but instead of performing on the stage, you play by soaring through the sky. The old bird said, adjusting his glasses, and pointed up to the trees, revealing the music staff encircling the whole performance area. The nightmare gazed up, seeing a few Nightopians following along with the notes. This is amazing! It looks like fun! Starlight said, watching the Nightopians sing and play. As the two made their way down, they noticed a familiar face playing along with the Nightopians. Helen? The visitor turned around when she heard the sound of her name. Seeing Starlight and Owl come near, she smiled and answered, Hey, Starlight! Slept well, it looks like. I guess. How was the waking world for you? Starlight asked. Oh, I never woke up. I learned if we don't find a clock, we can head to the door and wait there for a while until it resets. Oh, yeah, the game mechanic with the clock. Ugh. It can be kind of easy, but at the same time, it's kind of frustrating when you have to, locate those dream drops on foot. Oh, boy. Or those escort missions. Only not escort missions, but you get what I'm saying. Then we just walk back in with no problems. But we still lose time in the real world. The others decided to go to their dream worlds. I wanted to stay. Starlight was astonished at this. Hang on a sec, guys. It's been a full day, but to her, it was only a few minutes. What? That's impossible. I went through a whole day, but you didn't? That is... No. I'm confused. I would be too if I were in that situation. Owl flew up to Starlight and elaborate. Yes, please, Mr. Sir Worthington, let us know your knowledge of this. You see, Starlight, visitors and the residents in the night dimension follow a completely different time zone. When they leave a world, and a resident from the night dimension stays within them until the next day, it would have been only mere minutes to visitors, but eventually they will have to wake up. That's crazy, Owl. Starlight said, still a bit shocked about this. It may be crazy, but it is true, child. Owl answered as Helen started to give her the tour of her concert area. Helen told her all about her history with this place and how she always comes here to perform her favorite song that a friend had taught her. Aww. We're gonna get to the field, guys. Trust me. It's coming soon. Starlight was awestruck at this. How these words reflect the heart of a visitor. Hey, that's what Knight pretty much also said. And how they take form and her friend. The one who taught Helen a song that seemed familiar to the Nightmare. My guess Starlight must have crossed paths with Knights or something. I don't know. Danny, if we're gonna get any sort of clues, you best pretty much keep bringing the good stuff, girl. Because you really are being a mastermind at this. She never knew where she heard it, but it was somewhere in her memory. The more she heard the Nightopians play, the more the song became clearer to her. Helen, where did the Nightopians learn this song? Helen stopped in her tracks as she displayed a disappointing look. A friend of mine I haven't seen in a long time. I don't want to talk about it. Ah, she said, lowering her head. Starlight noticed the shift within her mood. She slowly walked up to her to see if the visitor was all right. Before she could ask if she was feeling okay, Helen spoke up. Anyway, do you want to perform? Starlight looked up at the staff and sighed. I can't. Why not? I know it looks a bit intimidating, but it isn't that hard. I can teach you. This is a bit awkward. Starlight looked down at her shoes. It's not that I'm nervous. I just can't do it. Helen pondered as to why. What do you mean you can't do it? I can't fly. Wow, Starlight is the equivalency of like Pit slightly. Only instead of Pit, literally is actually not being all too moody. He's pretty much being the cheerful angel we all know. While Starlight pretty much, I ain't gonna say something mean about her. I won't. Just saying that they both have the same thing in common. They can't really fly. Except for Dark Pit. Dark Pit's awesome. Helen was shocked at this. She never knew that. The visitor then walks over to Starlight's side. I'm sorry. I never knew, she said as she rubbed her shoulder. She tried to think what else she could do that didn't involve flight. Helen then thought of something. How about we go on the stage and find you an instrument to play? Oh, so it's okay for ground things. Okay, nice to include that. Well, this is a concert stage after all. I guess it makes sense. Starlight looked up at her a bit confused, but Helen insisted as she led her up to the stage. Starlight saw the variety of instruments lying upon its stands or chairs. There are many to choose from. We have the brass instruments, the wind instruments, percussion, strings, you name it. Just try the one that interests you the most, and I'll help you out. Starlight didn't know what to choose. There were so many instruments with so many shapes and sizes. Hint, her. Starlight then came across a silver pipe-like instrument. Oh, it's a flute! I see where this is going! Helen didn't notice her interest since she was talking to a few Nightopians that came by. The Nightmare slowly took up the instrument and inspected it. She started to figure out how to hold it and where to place her fingers. Starlight then placed her lips upon the mouthpiece and blew into it, creating a sound that startled her. The curious Marin was intrigued as she tried again and experimented with the other keys, creating a sweet melody. Whoa, the Marin said in amazement as she tried to mimic the song the NiGHTSians were playing earlier. She got better and better until she sounded exactly like the song she remembered. Helen turned around the moment she heard the song play through the concert area. She thought she was there, but it was only Starlight. Aww, here comes the feels, guys. Helen could only reminisce on when she used to be here. Oh boy. Flashback time. You said it was your dream to play on the stage, right? NiGHTS asked, holding out her hand towards Helen. Sure, but... Well then, let's go and make that dream come true! The purple nightmare said with a bright smile upon her face. Helen smiled back, near the verge of tears. NiGHTS, thank you, she said as she reached her hand out. Hey, Danny, on a scale from 1 to 10, how well did I do that scene? Feel free to leave a comment below. Helen? Starlight called her in concern. Helen's then had snapped out of her gaze and faced the pale-faced nightmare. Pretty much later on, I know that Starlight actually starts to gain color later on, on her skin. Because, she spends time in Nightmare, the fact that her skin is as pale as Riala, so, yeah. It's alright, Star. I'm fine. Helen says she noticed the flute in her hand. I guess you chose the flute then? Starlight nodded as she held out the instrument. It had an interesting look to it, so She stopped briefly by a few NiGHTSians flying up to her. Starlight had never seen a NiGHTSian up close before. They were usually scared of nightmares like her and flew away. Helen giggled at Starlight's reaction to the NiGHTSians as they tried to get closer to her, get a closer look at her. Are they usually like this? Starlight asked as she bent down. The little creatures didn't seem to care that she was wearing the clothing of a much feared nightmare. Wait, hold on. I'm starting to think that there's the point where the Danny's first episode of Dreams of Reality basically picks up. Where Starlight is in fact wearing the outfit that Riala has. So, I guess it comes full circle now. Owl flew up to Helen, noticing the NiGHTSians getting along with Starlight. I'm surprised they're not scared of her, Owl. Well, NiGHTSians are excellent judges of character. Really? I highly doubt that. I mean, seriously. Unless you count the comic where I guess that would kind of count, but in Journey Dreams and NID, the nightmares would just eat them. Even Riala himself. This is definitely a nice NiGHTSian omelet. Riala, you're a jerk, you know that? So, you're a fellow nightmare, and you yourself eat this stuff. So, stop complaining. Ugh. I guess they see Starlight as a trustworthy Marin. Owl said as Starlight started to get overwhelmed by the number of NiGHTSians wanting to meet her. Just like NiGHTS. Helen said under her breath. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I almost teared up when the moment where the flashback scene kind of came. Like, seriously, them feels, man. Owl noticed her glum look. What did he have to say? He had tried for a long time to cheer her up, along with the other three. He had watched her scar over Nightopia until the Awakers took her just to find NiGHTS. But she never could find her, no matter how hard she looked. Owl placed the wing on her shoulder and tried to comfort her. Helen sighed as Starlight went back towards the two. I didn't expect them to be such friendly creatures. They're so adorable! The Marin said with a bright smile. Helen faked a smile back at the Marin as the three headed out to another port of the forest. Oh, hey, the chapter's almost over, guys. This chapter doesn't feel that long, but Danny says it was. I guess it must have taken a lot of time to type. That's the only clue I could get. The days seemed to go by quickly for Starlight, zooming left and right at every new thing that came across their path. They went all the way from the picnic areas. Oh boy, last on foot mission, and of course, where Knight was at a picnic area. Oh man, nice dish down in the forest. I can never pretty much forget that. Of the bewildering forest to the memory castle park. Owl was just happy to see that she was alright and no nightmares looking for her. Helen didn't light up too much. Her focus was on other things, and the more she thought about it, the more she thought of nights. The Marin was playing with the illuminescent lilies. I'm just gonna call them flashlight lilies, or nightlight lilies, that hung over the branches of the trees. It reminded her of her childhood, back when she was 12 and she first entered this place, playing out here without a care, flying all over NiGHTS, overcoming every challenge wise men threw at them. Oh sure, because boxes and spiky rings were enough, along with those very trippy worm enemies. Oh, this is trippy, man! And just enjoying each other's company. It brought a smile to Helen's face watching Star acting just as childish as she was when she first entered this world. Hey, see, they actually mentioned that. Hey, Starlight, I think it's time to head back. Ah, can't we stay any longer? Starlight whined, not ready to head back yet. Helen tried not to laugh at her comment as she spoke up. It's late, Star. Owl's waiting for us back at his home. I promised I would get you there before the Awakers get me. Ah, yeah, the little ghost balls. Oh, boy. The Marin knew that it was time to go if the Awakers were coming close. The two walked back to Owl's house, taking in the beauty of the forest at night. At night! Look at us, we're traveling Nightopia! At night! Starlight enjoyed her day here, but there was so much to do in so little time in a day. I hope you enjoyed your day here, Star. We can see more tomorrow. Hopefully the others will join us. Starlight smiled at her. I would be happy with that. You stay safe out there, Helen. Helen nodded as she headed towards the door back to the waking world. The nightmare entered into the old bird's home, ending a wonderful day. Starlight later freshened herself up for bed, but not before she could get more reading done. Yep, exactly like Edward or Twilight, because they're both bookworms and they both want to learn a lot. Makes a lot of sense. Owl accompanied her to the library. She was still trying to find one book to read before bed. Starlight ended up finding a book about the idiot. She opened the book and started to read in context. Owl took notice of this and flew up to her. Interested in the idiot, I see. Starlight looked up at him. I haven't learned about the idiot. This is in-depth before. Right, this in depth before. Tempering and or studying NiGHTS is like this is illegal in Nightmare. Owl lifted a brow to this. Ooh, really, my dear? So much studying could be offense to Nightmare? Then what is the point to collect them as fragmentarily besides from using its power to take over Nightopia? The Marin shrugged. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows why. We just do it because it's an order, and not following the rules can be a very horrible mistake. Well, I never knew such things, child. The idea here can be used for many purposes, if used correctly. I see. She says, going back to the book. Owl let her be and went back to his work area. Starlight was quite exhausted from the day. After she finished chapter 39 of the book, she placed it back upon the shelf and left for bed. Owl noticed her heading upstairs, completely run down. Starlight had tucked herself in under the covers and let sleep claim her for the night. The old bird stayed up longer, like the last chapter did, to make sure nothing went wrong. He felt as if something wasn't right with the Nightmare's pause of idiot raids and raids started sudden appearance. There was a tie to it all, and he just couldn't find it. But he knew someone that would know. Galaxia, you have something to explain to me. And that is the end of chapter 6. Honestly, this was actually nice. We actually got to see more of Starlight's personality. We got to see how Owl is actually taking responsibility and actually not minding in the slightest. And of course, we got to see Helen have a little bit of showing Starlight around, with also having a little bits of some, memories of, her adventures with Knights when she first came to this dream. And, I gotta say, Danny, you really did outdo yourself pretty well. And I look forward to more of this awesome series. And for the rest of you, I hope you all pretty much have a great day, or night, whichever. And I will see you all later. Hopefully we'll get another chapter sometime around. Until then, I wish you all a good time. Ciao, ciao.